Thank you, Locriatum. Okay, so I've only finished one run of this category so far, so I'm not up against very good splits, and I don't think there's really anything that's going to cause me to reset other than failing the bird skip. So even like getting caught in prison or something like that, I'll just keep going. Well, I think my card lost all of its like original saves from me playing the game as a kid at some point in the many years between when I last played it and when I got back into retro gaming. I think that happened to most of my cards. Memory serves, my Black Tyranno split in this category is like over 10 minutes slower than my 100% PB. Because the one any percent run I've done so far was basically just to get a video for SGDQ submissions, so I didn't do any RNG manipulation before Magus's Castle. Thank you, sir. You have a lawn! I think Jackifer does runs on his flash carts specifically so that he doesn't have to delete his saves on his original cart. I think I read that in his FAQ. I was quite disappointed, by the way, to find out that in Birth by Sleep HD, when you fight Terranort, he does sound a lot more like he's saying "you have lost" instead of "you have a lawn." Because I went back and watched Essentia's Birth by Sleep run from the first SGDQ, and yes, it very, very much sounded like "you have a lawn," but I guess they improved the audio quality for the HD version to make the voice acting more clear. Yeah, see, Chrono Trigger carts are kind of silly expensive on eBay. I mean, I got mine for free because I got it for Christmas or my birthday. I forget which exactly, back when the game first came out. Same with my FF6 and Dragon Warrior 4 cards. Dragon Warrior 4 I remember being like 80 bucks or so when it first came out. If you just want to play the game, I mean, the Wii version is pretty much exactly the same and is like 8 bucks or so. There's also emulation, although I personally can't really get into playing games casually on emulator. I pretty much just use those for speedrun practice. Yes, worth every penny of my parents' money. The DS remake of Chrono Trigger is quite good too. Some of the extra content for it is a bit on the weak side, but the game itself is very solid. Has a bit of an improved translation too. Oh, you mean like the monster arena? I never really did much with that. The only like extra content that I remember actually like doing all of was the dimensional vortexes. I think it's the basically just kind of the extra dungeons that get unlocked after you beat the game. Hey Jen, silly derpy mistakes basically. First attempt I hit one of the shields in the prison, then I failed the bird skip twice, and then I hit some mushrooms in Guardia Forest, and then I just didn't have time to start over, so I'm gonna give any percent a try. Given that I've only done one run of this category and it wasn't with full RNG manipulation, I'm not up against very good splits, and therefore don't need to reset unless I die. So, DW, did I hear correctly on the Sunday sequence break that there is actually still interest in doing a Dragon Warrior 3 race on the RPG Limit Break channel? Because I kind of got the sense at the marathon that interest in the game had kind of petered out. Record right now I believe is 247. I'm not quite as interested in this category as 100%, so I mean, if I can get anywhere near 3 hours, I'll be quite happy. Getting that 247 involves using Lavos shell skip though, which is something I'm not interested in. It's a quadruple frame perfect trick, some of the inputs of which have RNG as far as whether they work or not, as I understand it. Even if it were easier to do, I don't really like what it does to the run too, because it makes it feel more like a credits warp style run where you're just doing glitches and to cause the game to end rather than like having some kind of meaningful final boss. Because in the no Lavos shell skip route, you saw what I was doing a few minutes ago. I mean the Lavos shell boss rush and then true shell are very, very intense. Because you're only level like 20 or so. Well, I guess we'll have to maybe find a date that figure out who's all interested in being in the race, who's interested in commentating for it, and then pick a date. Right now I think sometime like early July would probably work best as far as like based on what the other events that are currently on the schedule for the Limit Break channel. Yeah. That's something I've gotten a bit of a taste of in doing the Final Fantasy relays, is having to deal with scheduling around people's personal lives, basically, because they're not, like, taking time off from their jobs and stuff, and basically having nothing else going on other than being part of the marathon, and then, also, yeah, tech issues, people's home internet connections and the like. So I don't suppose anybody watching remembers which chest has the heal in it. I know it's one of the two near the door before the final hallway leading to Yakra, but I can't remember if it's the left or the right chest. So I need a heal in order to unconfuse Marley during the True Lavos Shell fight. And the fastest way to get one is from here. Yes, I'm actually going to be part of a 4-way race in about 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, I think it's exactly 2 weeks. It's gonna be me, Dragon Dark, Elmagus, and Happy Squid 89. Hey Marul, good evening. I should get a bot command going to promote the Fiesta race too. Okay, that was the tonic, so I guess it's the right chest. Fortunately, I'll be able to catch it on my next pass by. Yeah, and you can vote for which jobs we use. We're all going to be using the same jobs this time. Maybe I should see, because I've heard people talk about Wheel of Time, but I know absolutely nothing about it other than that it's an FPS. Yeah, exactly, Skifane. I never knew that Bard was so overpowered until my first Fiesta run where I had it. And that was the key to beating Omega, was stun locking it with Bard songs. Pretty sloppy. Okay, wow, this is actually, up until then, that was pretty good text canceling. Anyone doesn't know what I'm doing here. I'm abusing the fact that in this game, if you have movement control while you're talking to an NPC, if you move out of range of them, which varies depending on every specific situation, you can close text boxes before they finish drawing, and I'm doing it there to speed up that cutscene. So it wouldn't surprise me if I literally get all gold splits up until, like, Black Tyranno. Just because, again, I've only done one run of this category, and it wasn't with full RNG manipulation. Oh, I guess there's one other thing I know about Wheel of Time. That's where Karakarn gets his online name from. Alright, good night, Retro Gamer Nick. Thanks for stopping by. The reason I reset there was both for RNG manipulation for the prison and also for making the game load the birds fight again instead of the imp and Rolly Polly that you normally get. Saves a couple seconds over just running away from the Rolly Polly. If you look at my Twitch bio, I have a link to an FAQ that Abda Jr. wrote that explains the glitches in the game. There's actually a wiki for Chrono Trigger speedrunning that has like guides for the speedrun routes. Although the one thing though is that I don't think that they're very beginner friendly because they're all about the full game. They're all for the full game RNG manipulation routes, which makes it, makes learning to run the game a very slow and kind of difficult process. I mean, when I started, I used some older routes that didn't do much RNG manipulation, and then kind of gradually started learning it after that. Because, like, all of the manipulation in the first hour of the run only saves about 2 minutes over not doing it, so, I mean, it's very much not needed in order to be able to finish a run with a somewhat decent time. Well, I don't know if I'm ever actually going to have this full run memorized. I mean, I have notes up on my computer monitor that I'm referencing. I mean, I could definitely do like a lot, like the first half of it at least from memory, but starting around like Nizbel or so, I just haven't practiced the fights without notes enough to be able to do them from memory. I mean, every RPG speedrunner kind of has different methodologies for how they do that. Like there's pretty much literally no game, no RPG that I run that I do with no notes at all. I mean, I pretty much just I always just kind of plan around like looking at my notes when I'm like mashing text or doing stuff that I don't have to pay attention to. And other people just completely memorize their route too. So it just kind of comes down to what works the best for an individual runner. Yeah, like, well, yeah, like Illusion of Gaia I don't use notes for just because it's more of kind of an action, it's a much more action-based game than route-based game. Well, I got guilty in the attempt, the 100% attempt before this that made it to the prison, so it's a decent streak. Oh, and then I also got I got guilty 3 times in a row actually when I was doing attempts before Limit Break. Actually, when that session where I didn't use a mic because I had a cold. So I was trying to remember. I think like the first attempt I got caught by the prison guards. The second attempt I died to the R series, and then the third one I PB'd. Yeah. Well, last I heard, Karakarn does Final Fantasy X completely from memory, but uses notes for other games that he runs. That wasn't so hard now, was it? That was what killed my first 100% attempt. Well, not that one, it was actually the second one. It was like a pixel or two too far to the right. Yeah. I still haven't watched that run in its entirety, so I haven't actually seen what kind of went wrong with the gold saucer part. Oh wow, that was about as close as you can get without getting caught. These guys are totally random too. And I could have made it if I'd have just gone for it. Okay, that was really terrible luck. Both because of almost getting caught and having to wait for that guy to turn around quite a bit. This is probably not going to be sub 28 Dragon Tank. Well, yes and no, because I mean, like when I've run FF7 no slots for marathons, I had a route I did that left it open as far as which date I could get up until the first time going to the gold saucer. But if Barrett wins, it's probably the easiest one, just because of being able to do an infinite loop in Cosmo Canyon to raise his affection. I think when I ran it for the first Crystals for Life, I forgot to do it and had to reset back to a safety save. Hey, Chisakaru. Alright, please eat lots of tasty yummies. Yeah, as far as I know, Barrett has yet to lose the date. If I ever do no slots again for a marathon, I think it's just going to be an incentive to do the Barrett date instead of a bid war. Yeah, so yeah, I lost a lot of time to the guard RNG. So even because ideally, if I get the guilty verdict, I should be getting under 28 minutes for the dragon tank. But yeah, you do have to do the Barrett loop with say like starting a cutscene and then leaving before you finish it before you talk to Bugenhagen, as I recall. The Barrett date is the fastest date, but it also takes way longer to set it up than you'd say from doing so. Actually, Emanon, who's a Japanese Final Fantasy speedrunner, did a comparison video like a year or so ago between the three different dates, and because you have to go out of your way in order to not get the Aerith date, because there's basically an affection point system that controls who you get the date with, and Aerith starts with the highest affection. So you do have to go out of your way in order to both lower her affection and then also raise either Tifa or Barrett's. Well, you can, but you don't normally get Yuffie in pretty much any category of FF7. And getting the Yuffie date, as far as I know, is completely impossible without doing the Wutai side quest on Disc 1, too. Well, yeah, a lot of what goes into manipulating the Tifa date as part of the speedrun route is just choices you make in dialogue. But most of them do involve slowing down the run. Nothing to see there, folks. Yeah, every time I casually played FF7, I always did the Wutai side quest on Disc 2, so that the fighting Raps without materia wouldn't be such a brutal undertaking. You'll be sorry. Hey, Tudor Gray. So in addition to being able to use what's called the fade out glitch to skip fights, you can also skip certain cutscenes with it too, like this one. I was pretty busy, actually. I had to do work stuff Friday night and Saturday morning, but weekend didn't actually start until like Saturday afternoon, but it's been good since then. Had a fun Chrono Trigger 100% race with Essentia yesterday. There aren't really any big route differences in this early game, but there are a fair number of subtle differences. Because the biggest one I would say is what party formations I use, just because I have a different tech points route for between any percent and 100%. Because in 100%, the tech point route is designed around Luca learning Flare near the end of the game without having to grind for it. And in any percent, it's mostly based around Marley learning Haste, because you need the Haste spell for the final battles. So I'm gonna have to use Marley for more battles than I otherwise would, just for her to get tech points, not because her being there actually speeds up the fight. In fact, a few places it actually slows it down. Oh, looks like I've got some hosts. Crosby for MVP and Dr. Fark, thank you for the hosts. Oh, thank you, Dr. Fark, appreciate it. Bumping into him is to manipulate, manipulate making it easier to win the race. If you lose the race, you lose a minute. Well, to get Antipode 2, you need Ice 2, which I'm not going to be learning. Antipode 3 is Ice 2 and Flare. If you want to reach the cow level, play Diablo games. I think specifically Diablo 3, I think, is the only one with a cow level. It's not like a password or something. Draskill, thanks for the host. Welcome. Oh wow. Looks like I got a nice viewer bump there, so thanks everybody. Try to explain more of what I'm doing for people that haven't seen a Chrono Trigger speedrun before. So I'm about to get Robo, and I'm going to shorten his name in order to save time on text boxes that come up. But this game doesn't let you have more characters that have the same name, so instead of naming him O, I'm going to name him 9. Because Chrono is already named O. Oh wow, wow, 1,400 viewers. Thanks so much, guys, for the hosts. Okay, then I'm leaving Marley behind here because Luca is more useful for the R series, which is the next boss. Oh, thank you, MT Chrono. Yes, I'm very happy with how RPG Limit Break turned out. So another thing that I'm going to be doing for most of the fights that I have to do in this game is doing what's called RNG manipulation, which is where I'm manipulating the random elements in the game to do what I want, basically. Like right here, this is all kind of going according to plan as far as Robo getting a critical to one-shot that acid there. Thank you, Primitive Elements. And then there's a ton of fights, though, that I'm going to be skipping, either just by moving around the battle trigger like I did with that one, or by using glitches, which is coming up a little bit later. Any percent record is 247. Okay, there I'm using a glitch that lets me run away without getting attacked, basically, where I hold the L and R buttons and then open the tech or item menu, and then once I see my character's turn to their running away pose, if I go out of the menu, I'll run away immediately. This next fight here is random as far as which specific types of enemies I fight, and it can be either really fast. Ooh, wow, this is actually really good. The more greens, the better, basically. The green ones have less HP and defense, so I can mow them down a lot faster. This might be the fastest acid alkaline fight I've ever had, actually. Too bad I just can't seem to get a fight like this in my 100% runs. Any percent means beating the game as fast as possible with basically no restrictions. All that was really missing there was getting like a critical hit or like a good damage roll on that last one, so that it didn't take like 2 full rounds of attacks to kill it. %, means completing all the side quests. I mean, 100%. How you define 100% varies from game to game. It's kind of a community set thing. And for Chrono Trigger, it means completing all of the side quests from the Guru of Time. My personal best at 100% is 4 hours and 44 minutes, and for any percent, which is just where I don't actually finish the main storyline and just basically beat the game as fast as possible, it's what you see on my timer there, 3 hours and 12 minutes, and the record for that is 2 hours and 47 minutes. That uses a very, very difficult trick that I'm not going to be doing. It saves about like 15 to 20 minutes. The fastest time that doesn't use what's called the Lavos shell skip is 2:58. There isn't a low percent category, not yet at least. Low percent for RPGs generally doesn't work, because in speedrun terms, low percent means beating the game with like as low of a score as possible, or like getting as few items or pickups as possible. Like it kind of mostly originated from the Metroid games, because Metroid games give you a completion percentage at the end of how many items you got. So low percent means beating the game with as low of a collection score as possible. Like in an RPG, that would theoretically be like beating the game without getting any upgraded equipment or something, but I don't really know of many cases where that actually still works as a speedrun. Yeah, it's definitely a fun speedrun. I mean, it's very fast-paced, and it's got kind of a high skill cap, too. Alright, so this next boss here is kind of scary, but not really too difficult. So it takes 2 cyclones to kill one of the R series, but I'm gonna alternate which row that I attack, because when I hit them, it manipulates their AI, so it basically makes them not do anything for their next turn. So I'm gonna hit the back row now in order to cancel their next action. And then doing this threat lets me kill all 6 of them without getting hit by their stronger punch attack more than like 3 or 4 times. This is wow. This is gonna be a new, actually, PB for me. This would have been a PB for our series for me for 100% actually, because of how fast that acid alkaline fight was. So even though my Guardia prison was pretty bad, yeah, having under 47 minutes at this point is a really, really, really good time. So anyway, after some cutscenes here, we go to the end of time, and then we finally learn magic. Ordinarily, but before you get to this point, your characters are kind of all expected to have their first 2 techs, but I haven't actually fought enough battles to learn either Chrono's Slash or actually any of Marley's techs or Luca's Hypno Wave. But when you learn magic from Specchio, the game gives you any of your first 2 techs that you don't already have. Yeah, I did 100% attempts for about an hour, but couldn't get past Guardia Prison. So I switched to any percent just because I didn't have time to start a new 100% run. Oh yeah, I have so many fond memories of playing this game when it first came out 20 years ago. I don't remember the exact date, but 1995 was when this game came out. Hey, Wesker. I mean, this bucket here. Hey, Spike. Good evening, sir. Yeah, I got some pretty strong hosts a little bit ago, which I greatly appreciate. I had about like 250 viewers before that. And yeah, I was people just tuning in. 100% is the main category I focus on, but I had trouble getting a 100% run off the ground. Didn't have time to start over, so I switched to any percent, which is about 2 hours shorter, and my time at it isn't anywhere near as good, so my tolerance for mistakes can be a lot higher. Yeah, thanks to Crosby for MVP, Draskell, and Dr. Fark for the hosting. So after Luca learns magic, I need to make sure to say no to fighting Specchio, because that would waste a bunch of time. If you fight him, I mean, it's a pretty easy fight when he's in frog form, but you don't get anything out of it other than some tabs, which are stat boosting items that I don't need, because I can get some for free in this next town. I've played the DS remake of FF3. I've never played the original NES or Famicom version. Yeah, a lot of people have never have seen Frog Specchio before, just because in a normal playthrough you'd be probably over level 10 by that point, which is because the Specchio's form is based on your party leader's level, and it has to be under 10 in order to get Frog form. So this cave here is the first time, well, for people that tuned in from the hosting, this is the first time I'm going to be using glitches to skip fights in addition to just running around the triggers. Because yeah, there are a lot of glitches I'm going to be using in this run in order to be able to beat it in under, well, not under, but around 3 hours. This is not New Game Plus, by the way, too. This was starting from a new file. So here I'm just using movement to avoid fights, like I just skipped a fight on that big platform there. This one I can't avoid, so I'm just running away. Okay, then in this next room here I'm using a glitch called the fade out glitch, which is where I trigger a screen transition and then just keep opening and closing the menu and then moving a little bit each time, because that lets me hit this fight trigger coming up here. Oops, didn't mean to open the menu again there. And then when I release it, and then when I come back that fight trigger is gone. And there's normally a boss called Hekran here, but I'm going to skip him too, and this is actually kind of a difficult one. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the fade out glitch again in order to get onto this save point here. Oop, nah, I messed it up. This is kind of a hard trick. Okay, I should have it that time. Okay, so what I did there was by using the fade out glitch to get onto that save point, I glitched the game out so that it thinks that I'm always on a save point. And being able to save anywhere lets you do some more fun stuff. And what I specifically did there was I was able to save and reload the game inside the loading zone for the Hekran fight. And then when I reloaded, that put Chrono's sprite above where the Hekran fight gets triggered, and then by moving up and down I was able to trigger the cutscene that happens after you fight Hekran. And so I can skip the fight completely. You can't do that everywhere, though. I mean, this would be a pretty boring speedrun if you didn't actually have to fight anything. All you did was just use glitches to skip everything. So it's kind of a mix of skipping versus fighting the battles. All right. So the next part of the story is dealing with Magus in the Middle Ages. Alright, so coming up here, this isn't a glitch, this is a movement-based battle skip, and it's kind of a hard one too. Alright, so that one's kind of self-explanatory. I just moved up and kind of let the terrain push me around where you're normally supposed to fight some birds. Yeah, pretty much all of the battles that I have to fight are RNG manipulated too. I'll explain that a little more next time I do it. So I have to talk to the Knight Captain to advance the story there. Because in order to get across the bridge, I need to get jerky from the chef at Guardia Castle. This is a trick. Well, actually I messed it up, but I'm trying to do a trick there called text canceling, which is where you kind of run in and out of range of NPCs while you're talking to them in order to close their text boxes before they finish drawing out, and that saves a little bit of time. I didn't do a very good job at that one though. Alright, so if you remember that glitch I did with the save point in Heckran's cave, I'm going into the cathedral here in order to set it up again, because the limitation of the what's called the save anywhere glitch is that anytime you enter a screen that has a save point on it, it will deactivate that glitch. So when I went to the end of time after Heckran's cave, I lost the glitch, and now I'm coming back here to get it again. Because I need that in order to be able to skip the next boss, Zombor, along with some fights and cutscenes leading up to him. This one's also pretty difficult, so hopefully I can get it reasonably fast. That looked pretty good. Nice! First try Zombor skip. So, if you haven't had your fill of glitches, going to be doing some more here too. What I'm doing next is I'm going to be glitching out my character's equipment by not having any valid equipment for a given slot, and then moving the cursor and changing characters at the same time. I can trick the game into letting me take it off completely. And doing that glitches the game out so that your magic attack power is higher, and you have resistance to 3 of the 4 elements in the game, basically all of them except fire. Yeah, I selfishly kept the jerky, and 100% I'd actually be using that for something else, but in any percent I don't actually need it. Hey, and smash. And doisum. So there I did a save and reset using the save anywhere glitch in order to clip through the mountain and get on top, and that lets me skip both a cutscene with Tata and then also 2 fights. Moving the cursor like I was doing there before I loaded the file was a timing cue that I use, because I need to load. There's a kind of a specific range. I think it's like between 1 and 1 1/4 seconds that I need to load the file in order to do RNG manipulation for the next boss that I'm fighting, which is Mazza and Mune. So that fight I ran away from there is actually the only unavoidable fight in this whole dungeon. All of the other fights I'm going to be just avoiding through movement. I skipped these chests in 100%, but in any percent I need them for the final battles. Mountains are indeed nice, but I already know that. Alright, so for the next boss, I'm going to be doing RNG manipulation in order to make everything happen according to a predictable script, basically. So for the first form, you'll see, basically. I will be changing party members fairly often, but not right now. Chrono, Marley, and Lucas, who I use to fight Meza and Mune. Yeah, Sunday evenings is typically when I stream, although sometimes I do on Wednesdays and Saturdays too. Or those are usually the times that work the best for me for streaming. So because of the RNG manipulation I did, that guarantees that both of them fall asleep. Ordinarily it's not guaranteed, it's random. I mean, that's what RNG stands for, is random number generator. It's a kind of a catch-all term used by speedrunners to just refer to random elements in games. Okay, so that was kind of the warm-up. It gets a bit more complicated for the next form, which has some pretty awesome music, by the way, too. Definite perk of speedrunning this game is getting to listen to the soundtrack. Because of the manipulation, I know that all of these attacks Chrono is doing are going to be critical hits. Thank you, Divine Unlit Song, for the hosting. Hey, Jackie Holland. Nice. Good fight. Alright, so everything that happened in that fight was all kind of planned out as far as both like what I did and also what the boss did. Like what order he attacked in. I mean that's why I only healed once during the whole fight, is because I knew that he was going to attack Marley twice near the end. And no, none of the fights in this game other than Specchio are scaled to your level. The reason why I was doing so much damage to him despite being low leveled is because of that equipment glitch that I did at the last town I went to before coming here. Because when you use the equipment glitch to take off your helmet and armor, it just because of, don't ask me why, it's a glitch, but it raises your magic attack power. So that's why like Antipode and Slash were doing a lot of damage to Meza and Mune. Also, yes, I don't have posted chat rules just because I don't feel that's necessary, but I do like to keep this a pretty family-friendly stream. So I stop here to get the hero medal, which I need to advance the story. Yeah, the reason why the reason why I'm so far ahead is just because I've only actually done one any % run before. Usually I do 100%, and the only run that the only any % run I finished didn't use all of that RNG manipulation that I just did there. So yeah, so 105 Mazza and Mune is a pretty solid time. Alright, so now that I have both pieces of the Bazimu and this part of the story is I need to fix it. So I need to go to the prehistoric era to get Dreamstone, and then meet Melchior the Sage in order to reforge the sword. I'm thinking about doing a 16,000 follower special actually, where I do, over the course of like a weekend or week or so, I do runs of every 16-bit RPG that I know how to speedrun. And if I do that, then yeah, I'll be doing Final Fantasy VI, probably glitchless any %. Yeah, because I failed the I must have gotten first try Heckran skip in these splits or something for me to not gold it. Well, actually, I saved time, I guess, but I didn't gold it. Interesting. So I eat that to heal up. It's faster than using the end of time bucket. Alright, then here I'm using the fade out glitch in order to talk to Melchior and advance the story, but not actually have to talk to him. Oops. Just to check here. Okay, so yeah, there's a visual cue as far as your character is starting to step backwards, but I didn't actually get that time, so I did a save there just to confirm that the story had advanced to the Rare Red Rock, which is the chapter for that's just starting now, basically. No, I'm not going to do Lavos Shell Skip. Alright, so this next fight with the Reptites is kind of complicated as far as the RNG manipulation, because I both have to close the text boxes before the fight in a specific way, specifically the second text box, because that controls the Reptites' movement. And then I have to attack in a special pattern too. Oh, 1337 viewers, wow, nice. I finished the game after powering up the pendant in Zeal Kingdom, basically. That's as far as I followed the main story. So that thing I did with what I was talking about with closing the text boxes, that manipulated the Reptites so that the first two of them lined up for me to kill them with Chrono's slash attack. And then it also manipulates this fight a bit too. Yeah, I am a Twitch partner, but I don't have a sub button right now. Something very common in RPG speedruns is shortening your characters' names to one character in order to save time in text boxes. In this game, you can't have multiple characters with the same name, so I did the name Alec capital A because Luca is already named lowercase a. Hey, Kata, thank you, sir. So here I'm swapping Marley for Robo, not actually because I'm going to fight anything, but because having Robo in my party makes the next cutscene faster by quite a bit. SGDQ is the last week of July. I've got some pretty strong hosts right now, which is why I've got so many viewers right now, which is much appreciated. Japanese version of the game is a bit faster because of the text being faster, but the equipment glitch works a bit differently, and because of that, the fights are slower. So even though the run is a bit faster, I don't really like the idea of doing a run where the only reason it's faster is because of text speed, not actually because of gameplay. So having Robo and Luca in my party here gives me the fastest possible version of this cutscene, because if I still had Marley, I'd have to wait for her to dance for a while before I could start the soup drinking minigame. Yeah, use your imagination for what kind of soup this is. Yeah, soup. I don't know what it's called in the Japanese version, but in the DS remake it's called like Head Smasher soup or something like that to make it a little more a little less subtle about what it is. Oh, thank you, Kata. I mean, it wasn't just me, though. I mean, RPG Limit Break wouldn't have been so successful if not for the rest of the team, too. Like, Vulagen, Essentia, Brosentia, Alec K. So here I'm using the fade out glitch in order to skip the cutscene with Kino about confronting him for stealing the gate key. Okay, so if you're people that have seen my 100% runs, this is where there start to be some minor differences in the route too, because in 100% I would be bringing Luca at this point, but in any percent I need to bring Marley, and that's because I need her to gain tech points from the fights in the Reptites lair. So I just avoided all of the fight triggers in this forest maze. I mean, even before all these glitches were discovered, this was still a pretty interesting speedrun just because of how involved doing a lot of the battle skips was. This was where I had started having some problems when I raced Essentia yesterday. So I have to wait for this ape to move away so I can get past those enemies without having to fight them. This one's unavoidable, so I just get it and then run away. Sorry, I let you down on Heckran Skip somehow. Hopefully we'll be continuing the gold streak on this split here. Yeah, I've got some pretty strong hosts right now. So big shoutouts to Crosby for MVP, Draskill, Dr. Fark, and Divine Unlit Song. So for this, the RNG manipulation I'm doing is to maximize the number of critical hits that Ayla gets when she has the Berserker. Because that lets me guarantee being able to kill Nizbel before he does his electricity attack a second time. Yeah, I don't have all this memorized. I'm looking at notes in my computer monitor for what order to do attack in. Because doing the manipulation requires me to do all of my attacks in a specific order. This should be sub 120 Nizbel too. Nice. That might actually beat my fastest Nizbel time for 100% too. Although a lot of that's because of luck on the acid alkaline fight in the factory. Yeah. Let's see here. If you're interested in learning more about this game for speedrunning, this website here has a bunch of stuff on it, as far as links to other runs that people have done and guides. So that little zigzag movement I did there was for skipping Ayla talking to me before I leave. 16,003. I like the way your devious little mind works. So I need that Berserker for use in Magus's castle, but I got it on my trip up there just because the dinosaurs were in a bit more convenient of a pattern for me to avoid them and get the chest that time. Because pretty much all the moving enemies have fixed movement patterns. So here I'm using Fade Out Glitch again to skip first part of this cutscene where I forged the Mazamune. I'm also swapping Robo for Marley in the middle of doing it too, in order to further speed it up. Don't ask me why, but walking into Melchior when he stops during this cutscene speeds it up by a few seconds. Yeah, if you're new to my channel, please hit that follow button. I mostly do speedruns of RPGs. Chrono Trigger is my main focus right now, but I also do a lot of the Final Fantasy series. Like, I've done runs of Final Fantasy 5, 6, 7, and 9, and I want to learn FF4 at some point too. Coming up is the last time I have to do what we call the bird skip. It's a pretty difficult enemy dodge on this bridge here. Yay, got it all 3 times. Yeah, Final Fantasy IV speedrun community is incredible as far as how supportive they all are and how much they work together to optimize the route. Alright, this is a kind of a long, unskippable cutscene, so I'm going to run a commercial, so I'll be back in 90 seconds. Alright, commercial's done. So, yeah, I would expect beating this game for the first time to take about 20 to 30 hours, depending on how kind of much stuff you do as far as doing side quests and getting all the treasure and stuff. If you have not played this game, I would definitely recommend doing so. A lot of people consider it one of the greatest RPGs ever made. As far as versions of the game, I'm playing the original Super Nintendo version. There's also, you can get that on the Nintendo Wii for like $8, and there's a remake on the Nintendo DS that's pretty solid too. I would not recommend playing the PlayStation or PSN Store version though, because that has really nasty loading times. Hey Drew, evening sir. Anybody wondering how I got so popular all of a sudden? I got some pretty strong hosts going right now, which is much appreciated. Alright, now it's time for my personal favorite part of the game, and I'm sure a lot of other people's too, which is Magus's castle. Oh cool, Dreamer. Yeah, Dragon LX's notes are pretty good, as I recall. Yeah, there's a mobile phone port of Chrono Trigger too, but I know pretty much nothing about it. Yeah, yeah, there were no news. So it's not officially the run. When we speedrun Chrono Trigger, we have kind of an urban legend that if you see a new in Frog's Forest, then that means it's officially the run. Every time you go through there, you've got a 1 out of 8 chance to see a new, which doesn't actually mean anything. you don't fight it or anything, but seeing a new is kind of taken as a sign of good luck to come. Ah, it's too bad, Bebop, Champloo. Yeah. Yes, Jair gets the credit for the influx of news into our commentary crew for my run with Essentia at RPG Limit Break. Well, the reason why I'm so far ahead right now is just because I don't run any percent very often. Usually I run 100%. My 100% personal best is a lot better for the category, so just because I don't do any percent very often, and I actually have never done an any percent run with the full RNG manipulation route, I've got lots of more time to save. Well, I think the art is kind of silly looking actually for what I've seen of like FF5 and 6 Android, especially for the character portraits, but if and when FF5 and 6 get ported to PC, I'm definitely getting those. Also thanks to whichever mod took care of that. Hey Matrick. Yeah, I'm actually going to be in a race that the guy who organizes the 4-Job Fiesta is doing in about 2 weeks. It's going to be me, Dragon Dark, El Magus, and Happy Squid 89. We're going to do a RTA race of the 4-Job Fiesta using jobs that people can vote on. I need to get my bot going to promote that too. Basically, 4-Job Fiesta spelled out, F-O-U-R, jobfiesta.com to vote and learn more about it. I'm planning on it, although I do still need to figure out how the restream is going to work, just because I don't know. I guess, I mean, if I'm going to be personally doing the restream, I need to do something that's going to be very low maintenance. But yeah, I'll get you some info for that. I should have done so sooner, actually, because it's only about 2 weeks off. Alright, time for Magus's castle. Yeah, every half hour my bot is spamming links to the VODs for RPG Limit Break, which was, people that don't know, that was a a RPG charity marathon that some of my friends and I did a couple weeks ago. We ended up raising about $46,000 for the National Alliance on Mental Illness and had tons of fun doing so. And they're definitely looking forward to doing it again next year. Hopefully bigger and better. Yeah, there's been a lot of hacking done in order to figure out what the optimal RNG seeds are for speedrunning the game. So Frog getting Crimson Rained there for 46 damage is a cue that I'm on the right RNG string. Alright, good night, Refracture. So the routing's a little bit different from 100% here, like, because the goal of the tech points route for any percent is for Marley to learn the haste spell without having to fight extra battles. So I have to use Marley for more battles than I ordinarily would. Starting with, well, not starting with, but including the flea. This is a pretty interesting fight for people that haven't seen it before, too. I'll explain what's going on after it gets going. So you may notice that Flea isn't really doing a whole lot. That's because of doing RNG manipulation combined with Frog having the Berserker equipped lets me glitch out Flea's AI completely so that Flea just kind of laughs and then gets beat up. This isn't the whole fight, though. I do have to do a little bit of stuff at the end in order to kill Flea before anything else happens. And that was a boss, folks. I haven't decided yet what game I'm going to work on next after this. I'm going to be mostly working on this until after SGEQ, which is the last week of July, but after that I haven't really decided yet. Games I'm kind of leaning towards at this point are Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VII, and Kingdom Hearts 2. have to attack that specific skeleton there with Chrono, because otherwise it would get an attack. Someday, Soul Blazer. Someday. So this next fight with Slash, I'm also going to be manipulating, although it's a lot more involved than Flea. Because Slash actually does stuff. But the manipulation I'm doing is so that Frog gets all the critical hits and Slash doesn't use any of his nastier attacks. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot during this fight, just because I don't want to lose concentration and make a mistake. After this, I have to pause and then let Frog go next in order for him to get the critical hit instead of Robo. Hey, Murph. Yeah, after about an hour, I couldn't get 100% run off the ground, so because I was planning to stay up late, but not like past 3 a.m. late, so I switched to any percent. I do need to be prepared for this for SGDQ, and I do want to improve my time too. And yes, getting a completely free PB would help too. Alright, phase 2. Brian is definitely right. Although before I ever do that again, I do want to make some. I do want to grind out some better equipment for my New Game Plus file. ROM Scout is a very legit alternative too. Really important to get that mid-tonic off there so that, I'm supposed to attack Frog there, actually. I'm having to kind of switch to backup strats here. So I got off the manipulation basically around when I healed Frog. Okay, so I lost a bit of time there off of how fast that fight could have gone, but still saved time off of my personal best. A Zero Blade Edge. I dedicate that slash fight to Big Fong Balls. Doing pretty good. So this next part of Magus's castle is all about avoiding or running away from fights and traps. Yeah. Someday I will achieve the 1 HP, one living character slash fight that Vic made into a science. Hey, Zaz Train. I'm not, no. In order to actually compete for record, I would have to do what's called Lavos Shell Skip, which is a quadruple frame perfect trick with RNG on whether some of the inputs work at all or not. If I can get anywhere near 3 hours, though, that'll be a very solid time. Alright, so some of the enemy dodges on these outer wall sections of Magus's castle are quite silly because most moving enemies in the game don't trigger fights if you touch them when, or if you're not moving, basically, when they touch you. Okay, there's hidden pitfalls in that room that I avoided. This next one's fun because I'm going to be using my own teammates as a wall, basically, for this guy. And for whatever reason, I have to fight that first fight and then the third one, but this second one in this room I can run away from. Bringing in Luca just because she's a lot more useful for the jugglers here. Yeah, those, I already forgot what they're called. That enemy there is very, very weak to magic. And and Chrono's magic stat is glitched out. Yeah. incredible as these games are, they are also very, very, very glitchy. Okay, this room I just need to avoid walking between any of the statues. Walking sideways up there let me guarantee avoiding a fight trigger that's otherwise a bit random. So if I get a 119 on the 4th switch, that means I'm on the right RNG seed for Magus. Oh, okay, I'm gonna have to reset. Well, not reset the run, but reset to receive the RNG. Usually, if I have issues with Slash, it recovers before I get to Magus, but it didn't happen this time. Hey, Mike. Alright, so what I was looking for there was for the save screen to only be visible for 1 frame, which is what I got. Alright, who's ready for some hype music? Because I had to reset there, I'm going to have to use a bit of a different strategy for Magus than I'm used to, so hopefully it goes well. What I'm doing here is manipulating what order Magus changes his weakness. The reason his spells aren't doing much damage to me is because of the equipment glitch. During phase 1 of the fight, I was exploiting whatever his elemental weakness at the time was, and then during phase 2, when he just does nothing but dark matter, I switched to my attacks that have the fastest animations and the highest DPS, basically. Should be almost done. Yep. Alright, 154 megas is... it's decent, although I'd really like to be able to get 152 at some point. Like I think my like best megas time to date is a low 153. Definitely would have had a 153 if I hadn't gotten off the RNG manipulation on Slash. Well, hey, somebody just needs to recreate the any percent TAS in real time, which is like 2.5 minutes or so, where it starts the game, does a bunch of like sub-frame perfect reloads to do memory corruption, and then trigger the ending. That doesn't surprise me at all, Doisum. The PlayStation port of this game is not good, to put it mildly. Oh. Definitely curious what happened on Slash though, just because I wasn't aware of making any mistakes in the fight. Alright, so here, after I talk to this kid here, I'm going to use the fade out glitch to skip the longer cutscene with Ayla and the Laruba Elder. Okay, so since I saw the camera start to move up as the screen faded out, that definitely tells me I got the skip. So this fight here looks like you can avoid it by walking around the ape, but you actually can't, so I just bump into that rock enemy to get it over with faster. Yeah, that is one kind of unfortunate thing about the Lavos shell skip being what it is that it means the any percent record is less about having an optimized run from start to finish and more about getting the Lavos shell skip quickly. Okay, so there's two pretty hard enemy dodges in this next area here. Okay, got that one. Those are pixel perfect. Or that one was. So is this next one, but it's easier to line up. The Lavos shell skip saves about like roughly 20 minutes, I would say. Because it does what it sounds like. It's basically a wrong warp that lets you go from the end of time to inside Lavos' shell. And then you can use the double elixir glitch after that to beat Inner Lavos and Lavos Core. So that effectively makes the final boss of Chrono Trigger Retinite then, because you do have to get the fight Retinite and get the Green Dream in order to be able to use the elixir glitch. Oh, ooh, Rom's gonna get into Lavos shell skip too. Hey, Tremolanto. Crazy frame perfect skips definitely sounds right up his alley. Alright, later SB strain. I'll explain more about the elixir glitch when I do it. Got the most competent jailers of all time here. So only the fights in the basement of the Tyranno lair are unavoidable. Everything else here I'm going to be trying to avoid. And all of the fights on these outer wall sections are unrunnable too, so it's pretty bad if I hit any of those. Which is why I'm moving in these kind of funky patterns here. I take that back. Well, actually, no, you technically can skip this fight, but I'm choosing not to try it because I need the tech points. Alright, another boss skip here. And I'm gonna fight these guys again for more tech points. So I should get spin cut and rollo kick after this fight. To walk up a specific kind of column of that bridge to avoid some fights, which are pretty long and unrunnable. Alright, so this is a pretty long fight, and it's actually my least favorite boss in the game, just because it's 6 minutes long and very repetitive, but here we go. this will kill Chrono and Luca, and Ayla should survive because of having over 300 HP. Using slash instead of spin cut here just because he's got his physical defense back up now in between cycles. Alright. So that the end of that fight's always pretty intense, just because you basically you're killing him the round before he would breathe fire again and kill you. Alright, so 211's a good time for Black Tyranno. I would like to get sub 210, but someday. Later, Bloodust. Well, I don't play the Japanese version because I don't speak Japanese, and also because it's the glitches, the equipment glitch works differently in the Japanese version, and it's actually it makes fights slower. So I don't really like the idea of running a game that's faster because of text speed, but has slower gameplay. I'm sure most people watching would rather be able to read the text and follow what's going on too. Red Slash does run the Japanese version. I've got some Jen. I've got some pretty good, strong hosts going on. Specifically, Crosby for MVP, Draskil, Dr. Fark, and Divine Unlit Song that all hosted me around Heckran's cave. L triggered de Chrono. Yeah, because the text draws out slow enough in this game that you can actually you can pretty much read most of it, even in a speed run, if you're paying attention. Alright, so we're kind of approaching the end of where I'm actually going to be following the story. Because any percent speedrun basically just means finishing the game as fast as possible with kind of whatever the game gives you. So the main things, since in Chrono Trigger you can access the final boss basically any time after you get to the end of time, but you need to actually be able to win the fight. So in order to be able to start getting the equipment that I need in order to be able to fight Lavos, I need to get the powered up pendant and some other equipment. I do one side quest in any percent, and that's the Sunken Desert quest, which is the only one that you don't need the winged epoch in order to do. Yeah, well, I think the main reason I haven't gotten over 1,000 viewers for quite a while is just because I've mostly been running Super Nintendo stuff. I mean, pretty much the only the games I've ever ran that consistently gave me that many viewers were PlayStation games like FF7 and FF9. Oops. Well, I mean, you get it as part of the story. After you get kicked out of Zeal Kingdom, then you need to go to the Keeper's Dome in the future to get the epoch, and then you need to go through the Ocean Palace, and then after that, you automatically get the winged epoch. Oh, thank you, Tremolanto. So talking to the plant lady there activates the Sunken Desert quest. I do have to tell her to plant the plant and then close all the text boxes for it to actually count, though. It's because doing the Sunken Desert quest gets you the Green Dream accessory, which is the key to doing a glitch that lets me beat the game at level 20. I'm going to be using it to get some other stuff too, but the main reason is the Green Dream. The record for this has always been under 4 hours. I mean, it's gotten lower and lower as more glitches have been discovered and there's been more optimization done. It's only been in the past couple months that it's gotten under 3. So this fight here, it's much faster to lose than to win, because the story still continues if you die to the golem. So I changed its element to fire in order to get it to kill me faster. Because my characters are resistant to all elements except fire because of the equipment glitch. If I'd have just left it on physical, it would have eventually killed me, but it would have taken 6 turns instead of 4, because it doesn't have a multi-targeting physical attack. Yeah, JLo, well this is, I mean, I've been wanting to improve my time at this for a while, and I need to be prepared to run it for SGDQ if the 100% incentive somehow doesn't get met. But yeah, after I wasn't able to get a 100% run going past Guardia Prison, I didn't have time to start a new 5-hour run attempt, so I switched to any percent. Okay, this next part of the run I'm actually a little nervous about just because I haven't practiced it for a while. I practiced the final boss rush right before, but the final preparations, it's been a while. Although I do have pretty good notes. Well, preemptive thanks to Villagen then for making sure I don't have to run any percent. So now we find out where we're supposed to go next, but I'm not actually going to do it. I'm going to do some other stuff and then go beat Lavos, or attempt to at least. Oh yeah, and we wouldn't have to cut it off until like at least an hour into the run too. I mean, I could probably put together a route that would keep the option open to do any percent until like Magus's castle or so. Ideally it would be before Nizbel though. So I know which characters to take to the Reptite lair. Okay, so I skip a cutscene there. And get an OP weapon for Chrono. Yeah, I was doing pause buffering with the menu basically in order to, because I triggered a screen transition at the edge of the map and then buffered movement going in and out of the menu so that when I hit the trigger for the cutscene of opening the pyramid, it activated the trigger, but then just canceled it out basically by taking me back to the world map. Alright, so this trip I'm going to fail the bird skip on purpose as part of RNG manipulation for the sunken desert. Hey, whatever it takes to get the Bloody Tears level. Let's see, where's the inn? Into Clage's run is fine by me. So I'm powering it because I'm powering up that chest there that has a blue vest in it, so that I get a blue mail instead. If I open it in 1000 AD. So I've RNG manipulated being able to hit these things, which are normally pretty evasive physical attacks, but the last two I have to drill kick, which is a guaranteed hit. And get tons of techs for my effort, because I'm not meant to be fighting any of these enemies right now. These are kind of pseudo endgame fights here. Hey, Serna. Genya 23 runs Seiken Densetsu 3. It's JENJA 23. Okay. That was kind of scary at the end, because if that core runs away, I am in a lot of trouble as far as getting tech points. Hey Matt D. I've got some pretty strong hosts going tonight. Oh, wait, I don't need that chest. Oh, I need Robo in my party. Alright, so now that that's taken care of, I'm going to go back to 1000 AD to finish up that side quest and get the Green Dream accessory. Well, this is a good run by my standards. I mean, there's definitely gonna be faster times. Yeah, you're not meant to do that until after you've gotten the Winged Epoch. I always keep forgetting where the inn is, because you only come here in any percent. And a little pit stop at Guardia Castle in order to get an Elixir. Yeah, the DS remake's pretty good. It doesn't... I mean, it's got some extra stuff that's hit or miss, but it still has the core gameplay that's what makes the game fun. I think it's this chest here. Yep. Yeah, but the anime cutscenes are good too, and those are all in the DS version. Those were actually introduced in the PlayStation version, but that's really bad because it's got terrible load times. I'm gonna be done for the night after this run. It's about 1 AM now, and I've still got about half an hour to go. Oops. It's this one. Okay, so sell everything except for blue mail and suit. And we want 2 sight caps. That's it. Yeah, like I said, I haven't done this part of the route for probably about 2 months or so. I mean, that's a pretty simple shopping sequence, but I'd look at my notes to remember what to sell and not to sell. Well, I think the remake is designed to be more accurate to the Japanese version. Overall, I think that I like the remake's translation better, just because I think they did a really good job with giving Magus kind of a more otherworldly feel with the way he talks. There's no ambiguity about what gender Azala is in the remake, too. Yeah, that's probably my favorite one of the anime FMVs, is the one for when Yanis talks to Chrono. Well, it's a flashback that's part of the Ocean Palace. Alright, well, that's all the preparations I need, so now it's time to go try to finish this. Yeah, reset there's to manipulate RNG for Lavos. So, I'm probably not going to talk a ton during this fight, even though it's 20 minutes long, just because it's very intense as far as the RNG manipulation. Alright, good night, Drifting Skies. Thanks for stopping by. Gonna be seeing a lot of Falcon hit here, which hits everything in a line and does tons of damage. Alright, later Dreamer. I don't have the epoch yet. Doing what I'm doing here is faster than continuing the story to get the epoch, even though this fight takes 20 minutes. No, I would not call this sub 3 pace, but sub 305 pace, definitely. Magus is the most complicated one of the most complicated part of the boss refights. So I don't have Shadow in this party, so Luca is just going to attack him at this point to get him to switch to Fire, which I do have. Alright, so that was the most complicated one. The next two are longer, but simpler. There's lots of other. Even if I wanted to go for the no Lavos shell skip record, there's a lot of other stuff I'd have had to do differently, as far as just taking a lot more risks all throughout the run. Takes a lot longer to kill Azala in this the refight, just because my party at this point is a lot more optimized for killing the Tyranno quickly. Probably should have healed Chrono at that point. This is the scariest part. There we go. Sadly, the gold train comes to an end. Later, Tremolanto. Alright, I'll explain what I'm doing after it's over. Alright, 302. Not bad for a first 20% run with the full manipulation route. Alright, so I'm sure a lot of people are probably wondering what exactly happened there. So you can't normally use healing items on enemies in this game, so what I did there was used a glitch involving RNG manipulation with the Green Dream accessory. So when my whole party died and then Frog revived, it tricked the game into thinking that my whole party was still dead, and that there were no valid targets for the elixir. And if you use that glitch to use an elixir on any enemy that has over about 16,000 HP, which both Inner Lavos and Lavos Core do, then that gives them more HP than the game is capable of tracking, basically, because the highest it can go is about 32,000. So doing that lets me insta-kill Inner Lavos and Lavos Core and make it actually possible to do this run without level grinding at all. Because, yeah, as I'm sure it was pretty obvious, I mean, that was basically a squeaker victory over Lavos Shell. Oh, thank you, everybody. Hopefully 301 will be the next step for this category. For me. I don't know if I have it in me to try to grind for sub 3 though, because I do prefer 100% a lot more than any percent. $245. Yeah, like I used a pretty conservative strat for Ret Knight because there's a I pretty much just used a really kind of easy strat. There's a more complicated manipulation that lets you both kill Ret Knight safely, then also go straight on to Lavos Shell without having to reset to reseed the RNG. The equipment glitch is based around not having any valid equipment that can go into a slot on one of your characters, and then both pressing L or R to change characters, then up or down to change slots on the same frame. Well, hey, I'm sure my time up until Black Tyranno was faster than the world record, just because I think somebody said earlier that the world record is a 157 megas, but does the Lavos Shell skip, which saves 20 minutes, and got it fairly quickly too. Oh, hey Zallard, thank you. Yeah. I can definitely cut this down to a 301 or a 3, but like I said earlier, I prefer 100%, so I'm not really planning to try to grind this for a really optimized time, but the nice thing about this category is that it's short. for being a full game RPG run, it's only about 3 hours. And the thing that it has that's kind of missing from 100% too is just a really long and intense final boss battle which is Lavos Shell Rush in this category. It's all kind of a pushover in 100% because of Omega Flare. Well, I think Red Slash did a theory task in like 235 or something like that with Lavos Shell skip.